Hey traders, checking into the stock market today. We've got a lot of great continuity from yesterday's video and how things progressed and played out again today as far as things that we were looking for. In yesterday's video, I talked about the 4 check marks that the bulls saw to give them some confidence yesterday. Today was a little bit different. There weren't quite as many check marks, and I'll talk about those differences. But we were looking at the possibility of if we have a bearish reaction to Powell, and it ended up we had a bearish pullback leading into Powell, little bit of weakness right after he started speaking into the open, but we knew that that might set our 4-hour higher low, which did indeed end up playing out. And we also talked about what we needed to see on the dollar and on the VIX for those things to all be coinciding. So I'm going to start posting on the charts here a bit more just because we have so much information on a daily basis in our Slack chat room that I'm just going to start incorporating it a little bit more. But this was from Twitter, and if you're not following us on Twitter, @TheChartGuys is the handle, and I generally post a good bit of stuff there. But heading into the open, right as Powell started speaking, bulls really want to see the futures charts form 4-hour higher lows on the back test of EMA 12 support. Here comes Powell. So we were looking for that 4-hour higher low, and we got it. So in the end, we have 4-hour uptrends. This is what we needed to see from yesterday to see bounce continuation. Now, as I've said many times, it's all about the highs of Friday. So the high of Friday is in play for tomorrow. On SPY, that level is 401.56. Daily EMA 12 resistance is aligning right there with that level. And we've got a nice clear hourly uptrend. Anything above 395.05 is an hourly higher low for me. Big drop today. Bears did have a big hard drop right around noon with a lot of volume behind it, but bulls resilient in protecting to keep this bounce going. So if we lose the hourly uptrend from here, it's going to be notable, but I am bullish in the short term as long as the hourly uptrend remains and we are trying to set our weekly higher low. It's a bullish reversal candle, one more trading day to go. And we will have to eventually confirm a daily trend change. We know that's going to be required. The question is, how much bounce can we see before we top out and then try and set up the daily trend change? And so that high of Friday, 401.56, is key because if we don't break that level, we don't have nearly enough space to try and set up that trend change. It's still possible. It's just probabilities. We always want to know what's the probability. If you break that high of Friday, the probability that a daily higher low is the result of next consolidation will increase a little bit. NASDAQ, same deal. 4-hour trend change confirmed. Let's look at QQQ here. High of Friday resistance is key, as you know, and that is 303.75. And it didn't get quite up to that level today. Still over 0.5% away from the high of today, and that's one of the check marks. So the 4 check marks were, do all major sectors hit highs of the day at the same time? Yes, yesterday. Yes, today. Check mark for the bulls for confidence. Is QQQ leading the bounce? Yes, yesterday. No, today. QQQ notably weaker. If I'm a bull, that doesn't make me full steam ahead. That makes me a little bit more cautious. I want to see QQQ leading the way up because all of our major bounces, the move to all-time highs before all this weakness started, was always led by QQQ. The downside moves have been led by QQQ down. So if we look at QQQ divided by SPY, we can see red today. So that is not a check mark for bulls. That's a check mark for bears, and it has me, okay, a little bit cautious. What we could see would be rotation, which would be bullish, where today XLF and XLV clearly led. XLF was up 1.75%. Same with XLV, both up that amount. And QQQ was up 0.5%. Very big difference. So if we see XLF and XLV chill out a little bit tomorrow and then QQQ tries and makes a move up to play a little bit of catch up, that's what I need to see to have continued confidence as a bull. The other check marks were, we need to see dollar weakness. Nope, we need to see the VIX. Let's go VIX first. This is what I drew in yesterday's video. Look at how it played out. Lower high and lower low. Good sign. Now we're looking at our 2313 low that needs to break, and that coincides with the Friday levels that I keep talking about. And the dollar is not quite following through for the bears yet. So 2 check marks for the bulls today and 2 missing check marks. So the check marks were all major sectors, QQQ, XLV, XLF, IWM, all at the high of the day at the same time. The VIX weakness confirmed that 4-hour lower high and lower low. Where we didn't have the check mark, QQQ was not leading to the upside, and I still need to see the dollar break this head and shoulders bearish. I want to see the dollar lose 109.33 support because this daily chart is still very strong, and daily EMA 12 is still support. And if we lose 109.33, we're going to be at risk of losing daily EMA 12, and we're going to be shaping up weekly consolidation. So those are the two things that are still missing for full-on confident bull bounce here. Semiconductors, nice base of support the last few days, 3 out of the last 4 days, bottoming out in the low 204s. Now we're looking at resistance, the high of Friday, 214.57 as a level that must break if we're going to break the daily lower highs and start to create enough space for the trend change to eventually take place. Again, when I'm doing these videos, a lot of you who have been following for 1, 2, 6 years, it all makes sense. We're on the same page. If a lot of this is new to you and you're not understanding, take the time and the effort to say, I don't know what that means, and I want to know what that means, and explore our YouTube channel, the Intro to Technical Analysis free course, videos over the last 150 years that we've been putting out, the channels, the playlists, I should say, psychology, trading lessons, trade review. There's all kinds of content there to try and grasp these concepts and understand so we can speak the same language. People are on their 3rd year of speaking technical analysis with me, and if you're on your 1st year, a lot of it is lost in translation, but you can fix that. Healthcare, big time bull move up. Speculated that this is a possible reversal diamond pattern a couple days ago, and that ends up being the case. It's not a pattern I use very often, but starting to recognize it a bit more as Lori has started to point it out a bit more. Resistance from here is 130.98, and the weekly bounce is already well underway. And I'm trying to find a longer term time frame that I like for clarity. I'm probably going to stick to the 2-week here. On healthcare, it's been a little bit choppy back and forth recently, but clearly a very bullish 2 days in a row. And bigger picture, anything under 134.47 is just a lower high. This is now a very important level for me. If 124.39 breaks from here, the probabilities that the broader market is going to hit fresh fear lows increases for me very significantly. So that's very important for me. The financial sector broke the high of Friday. Any name that broke the high of Friday versus a name that has not stands out with relative strength for me. Look at the volume. That is the highest volume day on XLF that we've seen in months. Maybe over a month. Maybe a month. 2 months almost. Anyways, you get the idea. That's a lot of volume. That's a good sign for the bulls. We broke the high of Friday. Our weekly bounce is underway. Weekly high or low is set. This is what every single individual name, every single ETF wants their chart to look like. Big old bounce. We knew weekly consolidation would be inevitable. Weekly consolidation happened. It was more significant for some names than others. And now we're watching for the weekly higher lows, and they're being set one by one here. This is the golden pocket. And the big question from here on out, do we see confirmation of the weekly trend change? If that happens, you're going to hear people talking about all-time highs a lot more again. Social media pretty much, bulls all-time highs, and then they're being quiet. If that happens again, you're going to hear all about it. But that's a very key distinction, because we're either going to do that and now have the first weekly uptrend with a confirmed inverse head and shoulders, or we are going to fail weekly resistance and lose that support. Same thing as XLV. If we lose 32.48 from here, that's the new benchmark level. I always love when I'm watching trends and a new support level or resistance level is established to give me something else closer to be going off of. I can now say that my probability that we're going to hit fresh fear lows will spike dramatically if the current lows on XLF and XLV break, because that will just resume weekly lower highs and lower lows. What will significantly increase probabilities that we can break and confirm a weekly uptrend? It's got to be a daily uptrend first. Whenever we top out on this bounce, we then need the higher low and higher high. If that does not happen, we got to be cautious of a weekly lower high being set. If that does happen, again, probability increases that a weekly trend change can take place. IWM, bounce underway. High of Friday, 183.95, has not broken yet. Weekly trying to set up the reversal candle. We will need a daily trend change. Bulls ideally want another green day tomorrow. Head into the weekend with a bit of bullish sentiment. And then next week will be all about, can we confirm daily trend changes from this bounce once we top out? So it's fairly important to me that bulls follow through a bit more again tomorrow. Biotech sector. So look at how quickly we were able to recognize relative strength. 9:33, 3 minutes into the trading day, I could say XBI relative strength, high of yesterday is in play, and it needs QQQ new high of the day for bull confidence. So how does it stand out in 3 minutes? Look at what QQQ, for me when I'm comparing, it's always XBI divided by QQQ just because I watch both of them the most, and it's the easiest for me to do. But if you look at the first 3 trading minutes of QQQ, big drop, no new high of the day. And then a new low of the day on the 4th minute. XBI, high of the day in our 3rd minute, not even close to a new low of the day on our 4th minute. Just clear relative strength. And so that told me, grab bullish position in the biotech sector. And I actually positioned it so I had a risk-free long and a risk-free short in the biotech sector in the first bit of trading here. And I don't want to go too in depth because it's a little bit complex just in terms of breaking down all these orders. But in LABU at 882, in out half at 889. So just a quick little morning play. That gives me a break even of pretty much at the low of the day. So at that point, I can set my stop under the low of the day. Worst case scenario, I have a tiny loss. So all right, I've got my long position set. And then the other side was, I then entered LABD because XBI was testing the high of yesterday and struggling initially. So I said, all right, well, if XBI rejects from the high of yesterday and we roll over into a bear day, I want to have exposure there. And I entered LABD at 2097. I exited some at 2117. So that gives me a break even of 2076 or so. And so I was playing right here on this bounce. And so I then just stuck a stop under the low of the day. And I stopped out of my short and I held my long because the bulls proved follow through. So the biotech sector had a really solid day today. And I did exit that position, the second half of that long, at a day maker, and it was too soon. And there was a big volume spike that happened right after I exited pretty much here. And then once that volume showed up, I thought, if I had seen that volume before I had exited, I would have held on to that position and let it play out further for that daily move. But I'm not going to beat myself up too much because my goal as a day trader is lock in those day makers. Just would have been nice to have a little bit more of a runner. But in the end, the biotech sector has set a weekly higher low. We broke the high of Friday. The weekly uptrend remains. And we will need a daily trend change for confidence in this weekly higher low. Again, the volume uptick for the bulls is standing out in a number of places. So hourly uptrend is our guide. When we lose the hourly uptrend, the top of this bounce is set. The question is then, can we form a daily higher low and higher high to follow through with that bounce? So the question in the short term into tomorrow, how long can bulls maintain hourly uptrends? And then once they're lost, it's not game over for the bulls, but the question then becomes, can we change daily trends from here? We know we have to lose the hourly uptrends to see daily consolidation to try and set up the daily trend change. Bulls just want to keep this hourly uptrend for another couple days, as many days as possible, to create that confidence. On the morning, I was looking at 2 plays, MARA and XBI, and I chose the wrong one just in terms of percentage move. LABU was up 9% on the day, MARA up 13.5, but can't watch it all, and that's why I am grateful for everybody else in the chat room for helping to organize our thoughts and have multiple eyes out there, because someone was able to benefit from me posting this. I'm watching MARA pre-market for an hourly high or low, anything above 1082, bulls are building a solid base of support. Bulls are building a base of support the last few days. So the last few days, I'm recognizing a base of support, trying to set the weekly high or low, and I recognize that with the lower open, we're just looking for an hourly high or low. We had a big bull move yesterday. We need the hourly trend change with a high or low, and then a break of the high of yesterday. And so the bulls pulled that off and had a very strong day. Just complete control all morning, hourly bull flag, and then complete control all second half of the day. So the weekly high or low is set on this cryptocurrency miner, just like the weekly high or low was already set on Ethereum and some of these other names. So one by one, we're seeing weekly high or lows starting to shape up. And MARA has great volatility in both directions, as bulls put on full display today, up 13.5% and a close at the high of the day. The solar sector is hot. Lori posting some information about how solar panels rose to a record, and there was a good bit of data that came out for the solar sector today, just all bullish numbers, increased production, increase yada yada. So solar sector, weekly bull flag trying to follow through, EMA 12 support hold. Don't have to break it on the first attempts, 91.12. If we fail, what the bulls have to ensure is that they just form a higher low and higher high. And that would be an inverse head and shoulders as well. If we fail or top out near 89.35, can we then hold the low and confirm the inverse head and shoulders? So if I'm an aggressive bull and I missed my chance, I didn't get a long position and we've been going up the last few days, it either runs away without me and I don't have a position, or it pulls back, I make an entry scaling into one or two levels, and my stop is under the low. That is either the weekly high or low in a bull flag, or I am wrong and I want to stop out. An example of that similar trade that I just did was on NVDA. And again, I was not watching NVDA today. And Chart Guys, 5-year veteran, Mr. F, coming in with the assist. Where was he coming in with the assist? I lost that post. But Mr. F highlighted watching an entry on NVDA after the initial morning bull move. You know, missing that first 20 minutes off the low of the day, V-shaped bounce, and then entering on consolidation. So not chasing, but waiting for that consolidation to present itself to then be looking for that entry. I just want to get this message because I was not watching NVDA at that point in time. And because he made this post, I was able to then quickly pull up the charts and see, yep, this is a good spot to be looking for that entry. And it's a very simple post. So this is not an alert. This is not someone saying buy here. This is someone saying, are there any NVDA buyers into this consolidation looking for the 5-minute high or low? And so he posts that right here. And so I then use my ability as a trader to utilize technical analysis and say, yes, that's a good spot that I want a part of. So I then zoomed in even further and I entered. We had this big pullback here, and I missed because I was a little bit late to seeing his post and, getting my bearings. I'm not just blindly buying. I have to see the setup and double check and make sure it's all right. So at that point in time, we had bounced on the 2-minute here and started this pullback. I entered on this 2-minute consolidation, and my stop is 135.74. My risk is very low. Why am I using that level as a stop? Because it's a very simple statement. That is either the 5-minute high or low, and I am right, and I don't stop out, or it is not the 5-minute high or low, and I am wrong, and I stop out. So that NVDA entry, was 136.71. The low of that 2-minute consolidation, 136.31. Not nailing tops and bottoms. I was risking $1, and the reward ended up being $3. Well, a little bit less. No, $3. Up to the high of the day. So grab that 2-minute high or low, stuck my stop under 135.74, exited 30% into a high of the day test just in case we reject, because as soon as I sell that 30%, I then now have tiny, if not risk-free. Sticking my stop in the same spot, but I've locked in some profit now. So I then let the trade play out. I took 20% more off later in the day, and now I'm swinging 50% of that day trade. Why am I swinging 50% of that day trade? Because I saw enough that I'm watching for the bulls to potentially get some bounce follow through, watching the gap fill here if the bulls were able to break 143.76. But in the back of my mind, I'm ready to flip bearish. I know that a daily lower high is the most likely result of this bounce. So this is just a day trade that turned into a swing trade because I had a comfortable cushion of profit and we closed up near the high of the day, and that's enough for me to give it a shot for some follow through. But I will be scouting a daily lower high to be the result of this bounce, ideally in another couple days. And maybe daily EMA 12 drops into play. Maybe hourly RSI gets up towards 70, and it's approaching. But I'll let the hourly uptrend be my guide here, and unless there's a big gap down, which is always a possibility, it'll just be risking some profit. We're going in depth in today's video. We got to wrap it up. 21 minutes. So the VIX, 4 hour, lower high, lower low, good sign. We're watching that low of 23.19. Uranium, nice save by the uranium bulls. They started to show weakness yesterday morning. The broader market bounce got going and helped save things. It's a double top on CCJ at 30.75. But even the fact that we're testing that level, that's the highest level we've seen in a few months. And we still have a daily uptrend. The other names were more tricky because they lost the daily uptrend into a solid bounce. But essentially the broader market bounce keeping the uranium bulls from rolling over into weekly consolidation. And CCJ is my horse for uranium. And again, it's another example where I would have zero idea anything about uranium if it wasn't for other traders in the chat room that are presenting me with this information and showing me different things. We can only have so much focus. Our focus is a limited asset. Is asset the right word? It's limited. And so we can team up with others and spread out that burden of responsibility. I watch a lot of sectors. When I am trading my best, it is when I'm focused on one sector because it has a very beneficial trading environment. So there's a lot of traders right now who are doing that with just uranium. And there's a ton of volatility and a ton of opportunity in both directions in this sector. But I want to know what else is going on in the market. So I choose uranium and I follow one or two tickers. And then I'm watching another sector, semiconductors. I'm only watching NVDA and SMH, the ETF and one name. I'm just keeping it simple. So I'm watching all these sectors. But if you're looking to be aggressive and hit a home run, and there's a lot of hype and euphoria in a sector, I would say narrow your focus to just that sector, because that's what I've done with crypto, Canadian cannabis, US cannabis, and just these different sectors throughout my trading career. When I'm leveling up in a big way, it's 100% focus on one sector. The dollar has to roll over into weekly consolidation shaping up, has to lose daily EMA 12 to have confidence as a bull. Gold still struggling at daily EMA 12. Still battling for a weekly double bottom. Have to break the high of this week, next week for that double bottom to be set. Silver a little bit more strength. Miners trying to get just a weekly downtrend still. Dollar is still too strong to get excited about anything as a metal or miner bull. Oil still fairly weak, trying to get a bounce going on the daily. 4-hour EMA 12 resistance. Still not in a 4-hour uptrend at this point. And we will just be looking for a daily lower high next bounce. Energy sector benefiting a bit from the broader market bounce. Certainly not a very strong 2 days here. But this broader market bounce is preventing the sector from rolling over more significantly, in my opinion. And natural gas trying to level out, get a little bounce going. Building a base of support, but still 4-hour EMA 12 resistance. Long video, lots to digest. If it's over your head, stick with it. Check out the YouTube channel. Do good things. A little bit more lake footage from this past weekend. And was at the lake with a friend. And that friend has put out some new music. So I would appreciate if you like this content, if you could click the link in the comments of this video and give her video a view and a like if you like it. Thanks.
That's a cool one.